Let's go to the phone right now. We have Al Yurman, who has been watching aviation for some time now, and he's our aviation expert this afternoon. Al, got a question for you. If I were to tell you that if a chopper crashed in Midtown Manhattan on a gray and rainy day, and only the pilot died when he crashed on top of a roof, and the firefighters knocked the fire down within 4, 5, 6 minutes, something like that, and no one else was hurt, and no debris rained down on the street, what's your reaction to hearing that?
Well, from what I've heard so far, okay, he took off on 34th Street. We've got a weather problem, low visibility, low ceiling. We need to, what needs to be done is check into the qualifications of the pilot and the aircraft. My immediate reaction is disorientation after taking off after leaving 34th Street, and then he was intending to probably go down the river towards Statue of Liberty. But once he got into the clouds, depending on his qualifications and depending on the instrumentation in the helicopter, may have got disoriented, and the only thing he probably could see was the building. Too late, he hit it, and the aircraft did not, disintegrate enough to where it started sending debris out. Very lucky, very lucky, because normally no traffic will go across the city like that.
Right. I think you make an important point, Al, because disorientation could very well be it. When you look at it, 34th Street's in Midtown. Linden, New Jersey is south of the Statue of Liberty, kind of equal to the top part of Staten Island. And here he is in Midtown, 51st, 52nd Street at 7th Avenue. What on earth is he doing all the way over there?
Right. Once he took off, he probably, again, we got to check his qualifications and see what kind of instrumentations. Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you, he didn't have an instrument clearance coming out of 34th Street. There's no controllers there. And they will have records if he did file an instrument flight plan, which I doubt that he did. So that's the main things that the investigators will have to look into. His qualifications, whether the aircraft was qualified to even fly in instrument conditions. And once he took off and he got into the clouds, which I understand were only 400 feet above the ground, he could have gone to instant, what we called inadvertent IMC, which is instant meteorological conditions, and lost his orientation and ended up on that building.
And could that be explained then why he was in this no-fly zone, Al?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most of the aircraft, most of the helicopters flying up and down the river fly under the visual flight rules. If you need to cross from east to west or west to east, flying up either river, the best path is to go over Central Park, where you could have an emergency type of, if you had an emergency, you at least had the park to go into. If you hit an emergency, mechanical emergency by the rivers, the best thing to do is go into the river. It's the safest thing. Not in the buildings, because it's just, as you see, there's no place to go.
Yeah, but that's, again, if he's disoriented, we don't know what was happening inside that cockpit, whether if it was a health emergency, a mechanical problem. There were reports of the pilot and at least witnesses that saw the helicopter before the crash, that it was flying erratically, and also the call from the pilot saying that he was experiencing trouble. So we just hope to piece the pieces of this puzzle together as we await the NTSB to arrive there on the scene. As far as dismantling, Al, this aircraft on top of this building and getting it back down, what type of job is that? Do you see any sort of issues that could arise?
Do we know what kind of helicopter it was?
I'm sorry?
Do we know to make it a helicopter?
Yes, it was an Augusta A109E.
Yeah, that's a pretty big helicopter.
Used for executive purposes, we were told.
Wow, that's going to be. They could probably disassemble it up there, but they may have to. They may have to airlift it off of there, and that's going to. It's going to be a project to get it down. Or what they could do is get some kind of lifting device up there and lower the parts down piece by piece to the street to a truck. That would probably be the safer way to do it, with some kind of a winch and rope type of situation or chain situation. Take part by part up on the roof, and then lower it to the ground onto the truck for disassembly and investigation.
Yeah, we're talking a 51-story office building there, right in the middle of Manhattan. So 54-story building right there in the middle of Manhattan. So to say that this is going to be a big job is definitely an understatement.
No, it's going to be a big job, and what will probably happen when the NTSB gets there, they'll take their pictures right there, and then the temps. The insurance company is going to be the one that's going to get it down for them, or the city people, or whatever way they do it. But it might have to be lowered that way.
Okay, Al Yurman, thank you very much for your insight. We appreciate